Hi everybody. Today I wanted to go through something that I use to generate text-to-speech files that I can listen to and practice with audio and try and memorize sentences and do basically sentences that you're not going to find in your average teach yourself book or something like that. So it helps you expand your repertoire and also helps you listen. In order to do that, I use a text-to-speech program. And for Korean, I've been using something called Amazon Poly, which is a paid service that you get with your AWS system, the Amazon system. And it works great. I mean, it sounds like a human. It's not the robotic voices that you used to get a few years ago. It sounds very, very good. And I've been using that. Now, recently I tried to do the same thing again with Mandarin. However, that wasn't available on the AWS platform in my region, and so I had to start looking around for some other alternative. And I found one called OpenTTS. Now, this also has some very, very good audio. It doesn't sound robotic, but it uses different engines, and you have to pick the right engine. However, it does do many, many languages. It does Korean, but it also does Mandarin Chinese. And so that was a big appeal for me. So I've been using both of them, and I use a markup language called SSML, which allows you to mark up the sounds and say when a sentence starts, when a sentence ends, how long to have a pause or a break between sentences. Now, the OpenTTS doesn't support as many markup tags as the Amazon commercial product does, but it's more than sufficient for me because all I really want is to put a timed break, usually 1 second, between each phrase that I'm outputting. This allows me to then use a program called Audacity to split the files up so that each sentence is a single MP3 file. And then I can manipulate them any way that I want. I can use it in the gradient program, which I did a video on before, I'll link to above, where it creates a Pimsleur-like class for you, and you can do the same thing. It'll generate voices in English, so if you want to do prompts in English for your gradient program, you can do that as well. I will put links in the description to the software that I'm using, the OpenTTS, Audacity, and Gradient. They're all open source programs that you can freely use at no cost to yourself. So with that said, let me just briefly show you what I'm doing. Today I wanted to talk to you about a program called OpenTTS, or Open Text to Speech, which you can get on the website GitHub. I'll put a link in the description. But you can just use this as a Docker instance. And I'll show you how it works in a minute. But it has a lot of various text-to-speech engines with a lot of different languages. Now, the quick and easy way to do this is if you have a Docker instance, you can just do this command. I would advise you to do the no eSpeak, because eSpeak is very robotic and you don't really want to do that. Typically, if you just run down to the bottom here, you can just run this Docker command and just put all languages in place of language, and the no eSpeak command. If you add a -d here, then it will run as a daemon in the background and it'll just keep coming up all the time. So when you reset your machine, it'll come back up, which is what I've done because I use it quite a bit. Now, this engine includes SSML, and you can also just use it full stop straight away. So let me just show you this. This is the interface. It's running on my local host at a certain port, and I've picked Korean here. Now, you can just type in some Korean and then press speak,
전 한국어 조금 합니다.
And it will generate it and then generate you a file here, which you can right click and save audio. As anything you want. Or you can use the SSML commands, which are built in, and you can get a list of them on their GitHub page. But here I can switch between engines. So I'm going to have it speak in Korean, but I'm also wanted to use English. Now I use this to create myself some audio files where it's sort of Pimsleur like. It tells you the English and then the Korean.
I speak a little Korean. 전 한국어 조금 합니다.
Now the other thing that's useful here is you can put in break times, and if you set the break times to a certain specific time, for example 1 second, you can then go into